In this presentation, we will elaborate on one of many concepts from the book of Prophet Daniel. Chapter 2 describes the first of many symbolic visions and dreams from the book of Prophet Daniel that the God of heaven and earth used to make known future events in human history, thereby establishing God's sovereignty and foreknowledge. The book of Prophet Daniel assists in decoding many concepts in the scriptures, especially the book of Revelation by Apostle John. Nebuchadnezzar II came king in 605 BC after the death of his father King Nabopolassar, who founded the Neo-Babylonian Empire, defeating the Assyrians with the fall of Nineveh. Daniel was taken captive from Judah to Babylon the same year. King Nebuchadnezzar had many dreams in his second year of reign, that is between 603 and 602 BC. Daniel was still in his initial 3 years of the study in the Babylonian culture. As Daniel revealed in verse 29, King Nebuchadnezzar constantly pondered over what would happen in the near future. Hence, in one such dream God reveals to him the answer. Dreams were considered to give indications of future events, and a king's dream had significant importance for the nation as a whole. In his dream, King Nebuchadnezzar saw a great image of exceeding brightness and of frightening appearance. From the interpretation of Daniel, it is clear that the image resembled a man. It had a head of gold, chest and arms of silver, middle and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of iron mixed with clay. Except for the potter's clay, most of the components of the image were precious metals, each with decreasing value from the head to the toe. But what does this great image reveal? Does it reveal the future kings of Babylon or future kingdoms? Daniel begins his interpretation by revealing that King Nebuchadnezzar is the head of gold in verse 37. Then in verse 39, Daniel reveals that another kingdom inferior to King Nebuchadnezzar's shall arise. And then, a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. Then a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, which shall break in pieces all the previous kingdoms. The final kingdom of iron and clay shall be a divided kingdom, partly strong and partly brittle. From Daniel's interpretation, it is clear that the metals represent different kingdoms and not different Babylonian kings. Most important, the dream represents the sequence in which the kingdoms appear in time in world history. But there were other kingdoms and dynasties that existed at this same time elsewhere, in the east like India and China. Further, there were powerful kingdoms like Egypt and Assyria. Assyria had already conquered the northern part of Israel, taking captive the northern 10 tribes. So why does the image start with Babylon? The answer is quite simple. King Nebuchadnezzar was the first Gentile ruler to completely capture Judah and take its inhabitants into exile in 605 BC. Hence, the metal image signified all the future kingdoms that would have control over the city of Jerusalem and the land of Judah. Since the Babylonian Empire had the first direct control over the land of Judah, any subsequent kingdom that would overthrow Babylon would also maintain control over Judah. History proves this to be accurately fulfilled. With the capture of the city of Babylon and the death of the last king designated Babylon, namely Belshazzar, the Babylonian Empire was taken over by the Medes and later together with the Persians, formed the Medo-Persian Empire which ruled from 539 BC to 331 BC. Then in 331 BC, Alexander the Great, led by a large army, defeated Darius III at the Battle of Gaugamela to complete the conquest of the mighty Persian Empire. Subsequently, the Roman Republic defeated Greece in a series of conflicts, culminating in the Battle of Corinth in 146 BC. During the time of the birth of Jesus Christ, Roman governor Pontius Pilate ruled Judah. Later, the Roman Empire was divided into Western and Eastern Roman Empire. The end of the Roman Empire is commonly marked by the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD, when the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer. However, the Eastern Roman Empire, called Byzantine, continued until 1453 AD when its capital Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Turks. Till date, this east-west concept of the world has existed, leading to the various world powers as we know the countries today. Having understood the significance of the empires in dominating the land of Judah and the sequence of the emergence of those kingdoms, one question still remains. Why the different metals? Gold. Babylon was not the largest empire during its time, nor was it necessarily the strongest. Yet Babylon was characterized by gold. First, Babylon was specially chosen by God to punish Judah for their disobedience as prophesied by Jeremiah. The kingdom flourished under King Nebuchadnezzar, as is evident from the golden statue in chapter 3 of Daniel and its hanging gardens. The main city of Babylon was one of the largest cities of the ancient world. King Nebuchadnezzar commanded absolute authority in all matters of the kingdom. Silver. The most prominent and economically significant metal in the Medo-Persian Empire was, you guessed it right, silver. The Achaemenid Empire established a monetary system using silver coins. The empire had access to abundant silver mines, particularly in regions like Asia Minor. Silver was extensively used for creating elaborate jewelry, ornate vessels. Silver was the characteristic and predominant metal, associated with the empire's overall economic identity and widespread use. Bronze. Bronze was central to ancient Greece. The use of bronze introduced new tools, weapons, and artistic possibilities, with its high cost creating a social hierarchy. Bronze was also a key material for both everyday items like vessels and large-scale, influential sculptures of idols, athletes, and heroes. Even way before 331 BC, the Greek culture was characterized by the Bronze Age. Iron. Iron was fundamental to the Roman Empire's military, infrastructure, and economy, with the military relying on iron swords, armor, and helmets. Iron and steel were used extensively in construction and for tools and weapons. Iron was the instrument of war. Being the strongest among all the metals of the image, the Roman Empire was considered the most brutal of its time. While the metals decrease in monetary value, they also increase in hardness or brute strength. Each succeeding empire, over the land of Judah, lasted longer and is more brutal than the previous. The image represents an age, commonly called the Age of the Gentiles, which is a period of human history, whereby Gentile kingdoms have control over the Jewish people and physical Jerusalem. The Age of the Gentiles begins with Babylon and ends during the reign of the final 10 rulers, represented by the 10 toes. Finally, Daniel reveals that a stone cut by no human hand strikes the image at its feet of iron and clay, and breaks the whole image without any trace. The stone became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. The stone represents the second coming of Messiah Jesus Christ, and the mountain represents God's kingdom of believers. The great image from King Nebuchadnezzar's dream beautifully reveals God's sovereignty over human history and foreknowledge. Hope you have learnt and enjoyed this presentation. Thank you for watching.